washing, everybody's calling everything agents right now. Do they really understand what's happening? It's a very good question. Are the alarm bells ringing? Work? Agile? Is it still the right model? Well, I think it's a fantastic era. I think in the last, 1,000 years, we've invented all kinds of tools, but all of these tools have got one thing in common. You have to pick them up, you have to initiate something like a hammer, you have to pick it up your computer, you have to tell it to do something, even your mobile. For the first time in history, we're going to have technology that's going to act on our behalf, that's going to be proactive, that's going to look at your data within guardrails that you define, hyper-personalized, going to help you out. So it's a whole new world and a whole new paradigm. In terms of transformation, it's a really interesting time as well, because the last transformations that we had were all communication transformations. Think about social, mobile, and now we're entering in a computational transformation, and the floor is constantly moving. Imagine you have a slow procurement department and you're negotiating with OpenAI. By the time maybe that the contract is signed, maybe the model is already outdated. So it's a very fast-paced world. And at the same time, what I believe, it's not only the technology, but there's three elements coming together. It's one, the technology. Secondly, the people. We have to completely change how we work. We have to start working and operating with silicon brains together with the carbon brains. And finally, the way we work, agile, is it still the right model? Interesting. So a lot to come in the next couple of years. Let me first go back. First of all, agent washing, everybody's calling everything agents right now, but let's take a step back. A lot of people are still just implementing chatbots. Now, they might be powered by LLMs, so they can answer anything. Imagine you're a customer LLM, it could even answer you how to bake pancakes, for example. Basically, an LLM is limited to telling you something. And some people are cleverly installing it and integrating, I would say, deep links, so you get the feeling that it's almost an assistant, but actually it's not really an assistant yet. The difference between a chatbot and an assistant is an assistant can basically execute tools. They have access. I always use the example, imagine you're going on holiday. You're going to Australia on holiday. You want to open up your bank account, your card for payments in Australia. A typical chatbot, you would ask the questions and it would say, you have to click here, and then you can enable it in your mobile application to do it. With an assistant, you would basically have to say, okay, I'm leaving by that time, I'll be back by that time, can you open up my account? The difference with an agent is, an agent, you won't have to tell anything. He might detect it based on the fact that you've bought a flight, maybe even just geolocation of your mobile. You're in Australia, the agent is there, the goal of the agent is to serve you and to help you out. Okay, we're here, what do I need to do for the financial accounts? Open it up automatically, and that's it. I think a lot of companies are incredibly underestimating this transformation. As I said earlier, it's really a compound of these three elements of one, the technology. I think the technology part is the easy part. I think it's very clever technology. Technology is ever getting smarter. These coding agents are now automatically even coding. I think the people aspects, that's a difficult one. We completely have to transform who we are. It also touches a little bit on our identity. A lot of smart people fear this technology. For the first time, smart people are, wow, I'm going to lose my job, and they're a little bit fearful. So there's much work in that domain. And finally, again, the way you operate is going to change. So for me, when I talk to business leaders and companies, my sense is, do they grasp the change, right? Or do they just see it as an LLM and now we have a smarter chatbot? Do they really understand what's happening or not? I've started to talk about this, I think, 3 years ago. I feel that the shift is starting. People are starting to realize what's happening, but there's still a long way to go for some of them. What's not helping either is that this is an operating model that's going really fast. There's no frameworks yet, so everybody's still trying to discover. Very small companies, because they're so small, they have it, I would say, easier because they sit around the table, they can discuss, they can negotiate. How are we going to set this up? I think it's a really big and a difficult shift for enterprises. And the question is, Are the alarm bells ringing? Is, for example, the HR team really aware of what needs to be done, and are they acting upon it? Yeah, it's a very good question, and that drawing the line is a tricky one. There's a term called automation bias. We trust computers too much. Now, all of a sudden, these computers that we're handling now, these LLMs, they're no longer deterministic, they're probabilistic. So they're not always right. And we ask it to do something, and we trust it. So first of all, that's dangerous. But I think you can probably imagine if you have your boss wringing down your neck to finish something by the end of the day and you're very tired, okay, let's just ask the LM, I'll just send it on and we'll do it. Some pretty good examples of that as well is that I think Petra de Sutter, the rector of the University of Ghent, when she was introduced to the University of Ghent, she said, I'm not going to use AI, we are here for human knowledge. And in the first speech she gave, AI invented all types of quotes. So drawing the line, I think that's really upon us. I think a really important aspect is creating friction, being aware of where you are making the difference above AI. Imagine I'm a developer, but AI is developing already really good. It's maybe 80% proficient to what I can do. But that 20%, I should not delegate it to an AI, and I should guard that line. Now we're guarding that line ourselves. So some people are going to stretch it and are going to go over it. Petra de Sutter. There's a big consultancy company in Australia. They filed an enormous report. It costed, I think the cost was 400,000 Australian dollars, fully hallucinated, not validated. So those things are going to happen. And this friction, this reflex of friction is something that we will have to teach. It's part of this transformation of the people as well, is when do I delegate to AI and when don't I? A good example that I always give, my children are a little bit older. So my daughter is 18, and my son is 19, and my oldest son is 21. They've never learned to read a map. If you look at their brains, they don't have the geographical, I would say, training that I have in my brain. The danger is with AI is the same thing. If you delegate everything, you're going to stop thinking, and it's basically a downward spiral. And this is something that we need to teach people. It's fine to use AI, which is really funny because in Belgium, sometimes people excuse themselves before they send you a reply generated with AI. In Holland, it's not the case. In Holland, they say, I generated it with AI. Of course, I generated it with AI. So it's interesting. But this reflex of when do I use it? When don't I use it? When should I challenge it? How can I use it? Got an interesting question yesterday. Is it going to make people dumber? I think if you use it correctly, it's going to make you a lot smarter because all of a sudden, all the information is there. You can ask everything, and basically you can tap into that information. So it's up to us. Good questions. Up to us to guard it. I think some people are already going overboard. Some people are not pushing it hard enough. I think there will be different types of AI. If you have a self-driving car, you didn't program it, you just stepped in the self-driving car. If it makes a mistake, it will be the responsibility of the vendor. I think if you set up your AI agent, you are ultimately responsible. You set the guardrails, you don't. I think there's already some examples of some companies burning a lot of tokens because the guardrails weren't set properly. So I think that's a responsibility that it's a little bit like if you have children, minor children, you are also responsible for them in a way. It's a little bit like that. We will have to define and set the guardrails. Government is a very difficult one. I think it's going too fast. I think Europe tried to create legislation up front, but I think the day it was launched, Macron already stated that it wasn't maybe the correct implementation. So government is going to lag behind, but there are other sectors that are going to lag behind as well. I think education is also a sector that's lagging behind. There's some sectors that will go slower. And this is, of course, I would say, interesting, dangerous. I'm not a negative person, but it's interesting because now we're basically leaving it up to these couple of big vendors who decide everything for us and set the rules for us. I think we're moving to mixed teams, silicon brains and carbon brains working together. I think people will move up. It's an interesting idea. I can't imagine that, for example, you work in a call center, you get 20 calls for password resets every day. Those types of things are going to be automated. We will move up. In the first step, we will move towards the more difficult questions, which are also, I think, more challenging for us to solve. I think if you go home after a day like that, you say, oh, I challenge this. Ultimately, we will move towards orchestration. I think everybody's going to become a little bit a manager. Now, whether that's a manager of silicon or of carbon brains, we'll see. There are some predictions. You will have, I think Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, said it. Everybody will have about 50 agents working for them in the organization. Maybe 50 is a lot, but he's selling the chips to position those 50 agents. But you will, in an organization, have indeed a mix of both. And indeed, automation is moving to a different level. Coming back to my earlier point, a lot of things will be initiated by the silicon brains as well. So it will be a completely different type of organization.